It's a picture-perfect day in central New York, and there's no better way to end the month of August than with a big-time field hockey game between number 11 Syracuse and the reigning NEC champions Fairfield. Hey there, everyone, and welcome into our Cuse.com pregame show. I'm Adam Conkin alongside Riley Underwood. And Riley, this is a really big season for Syracuse. They're back in the national rankings where they're used to, but last year a loss in the first round of the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2019. So this year, going to look to try and get back on track.
Boy, that was a heartbreaker in overtime to Harvard. But you can't get much closer to reality versus expectations. I mean, in the preseason poll, they were number 10. They finished the season number 11. One thing I do want to point out, a year ago tomorrow, Syracuse went on the road, beat Penn State, who was ranked number 16 at the time. Who was on that coaching staff? Laura Gebhardt, the new head coach for Fairfield.
Well, the Orange will try and get the best of Laura Gebhardt again today, but to do that, they'll need a big game from their superstar, Bo Von Kempen, who's back with the Orange this season after a little bit of eligibility concerns, and she started right where she left off. A program record 6 goals in the opener against Lock Haven. Riley, she was just perfect.
I mean, you couldn't get much better. Only if she got that 7th, but 6 good enough for an Orange record. And the Orange are glad that she got that waiver approved with the NCAA because she is a big-time player for the Syracuse team.
Bo Von Kempen led the Orange in goals last year. She never had a hat trick, though. This game, she had 5 in just the first half. That actually broke the record. Then she added on the 6th. And Riley, where she gets her work done are on the APCs, those penalty corners. Von Kempen's just unstoppable.
It's not often you have your defender being your leading goal scorer and your number 1 hitter, but that's exactly what Bo Von Kempen is. And something she does so well. I mean, when you get those one-on-one opportunities, you really don't want to see number 16 on the other side of you. Bo Von Kempen is an elite player for Syracuse, and those APCs are where she gets her work done.
Von Kempen's goal scoring really just a special thing to watch. Last year she had 15 goals, 6 already through just 1 game this season, and she'll look to keep that going today against Fairfield. And, you know, for her, it's all about her consistency of 6 shots on goal, 6 goals. Whenever she finds target, it finds the back of the net.
It sure does. I mean, Sally Northcroft, Ball State legend, she's thanking Bo Von Kempen that she didn't get that 7th because her record is safer. Now, it'll be very hard to get another 6. As you mentioned, she didn't get a hat trick last year. 6 goals, 5 of them in the first half, just unreal.
Well, if you can't tell by what Bo Von Kempen did, Syracuse had easy work in its opener against Lock Haven. The Orange won that game 15-0. Just pure domination from the Cuse, but it didn't necessarily start that way. A bit of a slow first quarter for the Orange.
Well, it was slow first quarter, but not in the first 20 seconds because that's when they scored first. Syracuse got on the board just under a minute into it, and it was, Bo Von Kempen, her first of the season, Syracuse's first of the year as well.
And of course it was Von Kempen, but that was the only goal of the first quarter. Then in the second, the Cuse really got going. Hattie Madden with her first goal, and then Von Kempen. That was her 4th of the day to put Syracuse up 5-0. And then we see Madden again. She's going to be a real key for Syracuse this year, now a junior.
A hat trick for Hattie in this one. 7 goals for Syracuse in the second quarter. The only game they scored more than 7 goals total last year was the season opener against Lock Haven, where they beat them 9-0.
And here's the record breaker, not just for Bo Von Kempen, but Patty Strunk as well. 6 assists. I mean, the record's all over the place for the Orange in the opener. And then finally, they actually got stopped to save there from Kelsey Felix, but, oh, that stoppage wasn't for too long because the Syracuse offense started going again.
Yeah, that brick wall helmet, that's a little bit deceiving because there were definitely some cracks in the foundation on the back end for Lock Haven. I mean, this is borderline federal crime because Syracuse took the Bald Eagles to the woodshed. I mean, this was not close at any point. How about your first goal of your career? Aubrey Turner, and then she does it just 5 minutes later. Here goes one more for you.
It's one of the great things about these blowout games. In the end, you can get the freshman on the board, and there's Aubrey Turner in her first collegiate game. She scores 2, and Syracuse beats Lock Haven 15-0. And, you know, not a surprise with this final score, but those shots and shots on goals just dominated by the Cuse, 39-1 and 26-0.
0. I mean, you put up a donut in your first game of the year. You can't even get a shot on goal. That just speaks to the Syracuse defense completely dominating their side of the field. Lock Haven just wasn't getting anything going. They had 1 shot at the very end of the game. It careened way over. It got deflected. Wasn't even close.
And with those 15 goals for Syracuse in the game against Lock Haven, they had a lot of the success on the penalty corners, the APCs. Not a surprise with Bo von Kempen, but if this unit can get back to where it was last year, then Syracuse is going to be very happy, Riley.
I mean, Syracuse has one of the best, if not the best, penalty corner units in the entire country. And this is what a lot of Syracuse games will come down to, especially once they get into ACC play. This is where Syracuse makes their money, and this is where Bo von Kempen gets her money's worth on the goal end.
Von Kempen went 5 for 5 on the APCs, 10 goals as a team for Syracuse against Lock Haven. Fairfield only allowed 2 penalty corners in its last game. So, if the Stags can keep the Orange away from the penalties, then maybe they'll have a chance. But Syracuse is going to want another game like they had against Lock Haven because there are so many newcomers to this team. Getting a big lead really helps out Syracuse because then some of those fresh faces can actually get a chance to play in a game that's not too close. And when you have so many freshmen on your team like Syracuse does this year, 13 of them, those big leagues can really help.
And for the first game of the year, it's always good to get as many faces on the field as you can, just to kind of test the waters, see maybe someone surprises you in the game that you didn't see in practice. And they certainly got almost everyone on the field. Double-digit freshmen for this Orange squad, but Syracuse still returns the second most goals and points in the ACC. That sits only behind North Carolina.
And a lot of that is because of Bo von Kempen, but now these new players really helping her out. Again, it's 13 freshmen, and then you have a couple of the internationals, the transfers. Lynn Farquhar, now in her 3rd year, is really just doing everything and bringing in her players to hopefully bring Syracuse some more success this season.
And my eyes are on Aubrey Turner because she's the only freshman that's starting for this Orange squad. She's from Downingtown, Pennsylvania. Will Howard's from there. He's a national champion.
Well, maybe Syracuse could get a national championship this year with help from their Downingtown native. 10 years ago is when Syracuse won its only national championship in field hockey, so maybe they can get back there today. But first, they'll have to take down Fairfield, and we'll tell you all about the Stags when we return on the Cuse.com pregame show. We're counting down the minutes until today's matchup between 2 perennial NCAA tournament teams, number 11 Syracuse and Fairfield. Welcome back into the Cuse.com pregame show. I'm Adam Conkin alongside Riley Underwood. And let's take a look at this Fairfield team. It's a program in the NEC for field hockey, and they've really run the NEC recently. Last year, once again, winning that conference.
Yeah, certainly a successful season. You make the NCAA tournament. You win your conference tournament. I'll call it more of a Power 2 rather than the usual Power 4 or 5 we see in the other conferences. Big Ten and ACC pretty much for field hockey. No discount at all to the Fairfield season, but they didn't play a team from either one of those last year. Last time they beat a ranked opponent, that was in 2019. But one thing they do have, their top 7 scorers returning this season. It's a team with a lot of loaded talent from the years before.
That'll help them out a lot, although the one thing that Fairfield does not have this year is its longtime head coach, Jackie Kane. After 30 years in charge of the program, decided to step down before the season, so it's Laura Gebhardt, the new head coach. She comes over from Penn State, and she was a superstar at Penn State, now trying to bring this Fairfield program to where it's used to in the NCAA tournament.
Oh, those are big shoes to fill, and ones that have been worn for a long time, 30 years by Jackie Kane. One thing, she only had 11 winning seasons, but a lot of success late in the NCAA tournament appearances. Gebhardt comes over from Penn State. She also had a short stint as interim head coach at Bryant.
So Gebhardt does have a lot of experience. However, the first game for her team this year did not go the way that she would have hoped. A 2-0 loss to Lafayette to get the season going. It's always tough when you have a new head coach to try and start the season with a victory, and that opener just did not go the way that Fairfield would have hoped, falling 2-0. And they had a lot of chances. They dominated the shots battle with 16 of them, but they just couldn't find the net. Too many of them wide like that one.
I mean, the Stags had opportunities. They just could not finish when it mattered. And who could finish? Lafayette could finish when it mattered.
And even a penalty stroke from the first team all-conference player, Catalina Ness, missed wide. And now you see, just again, Lafayette battling, and they were able to do the job, get enough done. Fairfield just could not find the net. Another one goes wide, and they lose the opener 2-0. A game that, looking back on it, I think Fairfield wishes that they had back, because you win the shots battle 16-10. You have 6 more corners, but no goals. So today the focus is going to be on scoring.
Well, let's look at this graphic for a second. I mean, if you take away the goals and you look at all the other stats, you would think that Fairfield would have won this game. I mean, they outshot Lafayette 16-10. The penalty corner unit just needs to be better. 8 tries, you don't convert. That needs to change if they want to win moving forward.
A lot of those shots on net from Lafayette, too, were really good, dangerous opportunities. It maybe even could have been more than a 2-0 game if it wasn't for Peyton Ron, the goalkeeper for Fairfield. She's a reigning all-conference player, and she's back to her old self this season.
I mean, she allowed 2 goals in the first half. It seemed like she settled down a bit afterwards. I mean, when you watch the game, it looked like she played a pretty good game. She had some nice acrobatic saves, but when your offense isn't helping you out at all, I mean, it's tough.
It really is tough. Ron was best towards the end of last season, actually had her season-high saves in the conference championship, had 5 in the NCAA tournament, which was her second most all year. She had 5 in the last game, and you know that it's going to be a very, very busy day for her again, facing off against the Syracuse Orange. Well, we're coming up towards this game. Peyton Ron going to need a big one today. That high save percentage might help her again.
Well, she's got some funky hair. I think you could rock that haircut maybe, Adam.
Maybe.
She split time last year. It looks like she's going to be the starter going forward. It's going to be her goal to protect today.
Well, she's going to need a big day today against number 11 Syracuse. We'll see if Fairfield can get the win. Again, it's a team that's been in the NCAA tournament 3 of the last 4 years, so their expectations are high. Well, we're just a few minutes away from first push. Don't go anywhere. The Cuse.com pregame show rolls on. We're just 15 minutes away from first push between Syracuse and Fairfield, 2 teams that are very used to being in the NCAA tournament, looking to make it back there this year. Welcome back into the Cuse.com pregame show. I'm Adam Gotkin alongside Riley Underwood, and we're going to welcome in a very special guest here, Bryn Underwood. No relation to you, Riley, but she is an incredible field hockey player in herself, a reigning conference goalie of the year. And Bryn, you know goalies very well. Syracuse has 2 of them. They switched off quarters in the opener. What do we expect in goal today for the Orange?
Yeah, both Jesse Eisland and Tanya King bring their own unique playing style to this Orange defense. Both of them quite efficient in goal. We didn't get to see them much in the Lock Haven game, but expect to see them make a couple more saves during this game today. Expect both of them to play in these games. They've made it very difficult for Coach Lynn Farquhar to decide who's going to be the outright goalkeeper. So we're most likely going to see both of them have some action today.
Bren, Fairfield hasn't beaten a ranked opponent since 2019. That was in the NCAA tournament against American a year before you got there. How can the Stags pull off the upset today?
They really just need to execute on penalty corners, both offensively and defensively. As we saw on Friday, Syracuse converting on 8 of their 10 penalty corners. The Fairfield defense really has to support Peyton Ron in goal and make it really difficult for Bo Van Kempen to capitalize like she did on Friday. As for offensively, they had 8 penalty corners against Lafayette. Weren't able to convert on any of them. That has to change today if they want to see any competitiveness between them and Syracuse.
Talking about Bo Van Kempen, she did have a career day. Do you expect to see another performance like that one, another record setter? Or do you think the Orange are going to have some other players step up and carry the load?
I think that's what's going to happen. Fairfield obviously has been scouting the Syracuse offense, especially from the Lock Haven game. If Syracuse wants to score the way they did yesterday, they're going to have to call up on some of their other players, as Van Kempen is going to be heavily pressured in those penalty corners.
Well, Bryn, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Of course, thanks for having me.
All right, well, we'll see Bryn on the game broadcast in just a moment, but don't go anywhere because our Cuse.com pregame show rolls on. We've got some football to talk about when we return. It's opening weekend of the college field hockey season, and we've got a fun matchup at J.S. Coyne Stadium. Syracuse taking on Fairfield. But there's a lot going on around college sports today, not just in field hockey, but in football. The Syracuse Orange got their season underway yesterday against the Tennessee Volunteers, and we've got Izzy C. in studio to tell us all about the game.
Syracuse football had a chance to send a message to the country that last season's 10 wins were no fluke. Facing 24th-ranked Tennessee in a neutral site clash was the perfect opportunity for that. Instead, the Orange got outpaced 45-26 by the Volunteers yesterday afternoon, but the story of the game was Syracuse's defense looking outmatched and overwhelmed. Whenever pressure came, Tennessee quarterback Joey Aguilar easily evaded it with his legs. The Orange were not able to make him uncomfortable as he was sacked 0 times. Syracuse also gave up many explosive plays, including runs of 47, 25, and 22 yards, but the biggest play came from a touchdown of 73 yards by wide receiver Braylon Staley to end the first half. The Qs could also not get off the field on third downs as the Volunteers went 7 of 12. Head coach Fran Brown discussed during training camp that the team's poor tackling issue had to be fixed, and in Game 1, the weakness reappeared. There's still a lot of season left, but the Orange are going to need their defense to step up to aid their offense. Tennessee was a tough draw to open the season for Syracuse, but more tough opponents lie ahead. The Orange have road games against Clemson, SMU, Miami, and Notre Dame this season. SU has to bounce back if they want to be competitive in the ACC. Adam and Riley, back to you.
Izzy, thank you so much. A lot that went wrong in that opener for Syracuse, but if you look at the positives, Steve Angeli in his first ever regular season start at quarterback looked really good for the Qs.
He looked tough, too. I mean, he was taking hits. I mean, offensive line didn't really get him much help. But that connection between Angeli and Jonte Cook, I mean, rocking Trevor Pena's number 2, that looked pretty good so far. One thing I want to mention about Tennessee, Joey Aguilar played excellent. And actually, I think they might have won that trade with UCLA and Nico Iamaleava because Aguilar actually wants to be there, and he played very well in the season opener.
Well, there wasn't just Syracuse, Tennessee yesterday on the gridiron, a whole bunch of other contests around the Atlantic Coast Conference. And how about the Florida State Seminoles bouncing back from last year and beating Alabama by 14 at home? How about that game? That was fun to watch, wasn't it? A field storm.
Thomas Castellano saying, Bill O'Brien, why'd you bench me? Florida State pounding the ground. They could not stop anything in Tallahassee. 236 rushing yards. One thing also you should look at, Georgia Tech beating Coach Prime and Colorado on the road in Boulder. Some impressive stuff. And LSU Clemson, that was the game we were all watching late last night. The Tigers taking the win.
The Tigers beat the Tigers. 2 more ACC games tonight in college football, but there's also a lot of collegiate field hockey going on right now, as this, of course, is opening weekend. And we've got a couple really big matchups. The ACC Big Ten Challenge, really the big thing to look at. You see Wake Forest taking on Michigan, North Carolina taking on Iowa. A big moment here for the ACC to try and reclaim the throne after, they didn't win the national championship last year.
Of course, the obvious one you look at, Wake Forest and Michigan. Wake with that 1-0 lead. I'm also looking up what's happening in Delaware because California's beating a pretty solid Delaware team. They fumbled the game away against Temple in the final moments last week. It's a team I could have seen giving California some problems coming into this one, but it looks like the Golden Bears have it under control.
And so there's a lot of ACC teams in the rankings on your screen now, and a lot all around because, of course, this is the Atlantic Coast Conference in field hockey, and they are always going to dominate. However, Northwestern's still number 1 after they won the national championship last year.
ACC, just one less team in the national rankings than the Big Ten. Big Ten has 7. Northwestern, heavy favorites coming into this one. Made the championship game the last 4 seasons, and out of those, they've went 50%. They've won 2 of them.
And Syracuse starts the season outside of the top 10, but they're looking to get back there and could use a big win today to try and reach that point. We're just moments away from first push. We've got your keys to the game when we return. We're just moments away from first push between number 11 Syracuse and Fairfield from J.S. Coyne Stadium. And welcome back into the Cuse.com pregame show. Adam Gotkin alongside Riley Underwood. We're just moments away from this game getting underway. So, Riley, why don't you go ahead and give us your players to watch for today?
Well, for Fairfield, I'm going to say you have to look at Riley Lalou because she's the leading goal scorer last year for Fairfield. And last game, she didn't get a single shot off, not even one on goal, not on goal, nothing. She was unproductive last game in the 2-0 loss. She needs to get going if Fairfield wants to have a chance in this one against Syracuse. For the Orange, I'm looking at the goalkeepers because it's kind of a mixed room. You have Jesse Iceland, who got the start last week, and then you have Tawny King, who came off. They alternated corners. Neither of them really got any workouts. They didn't face any shots. Iceland will get the start today, I am told. We'll have to see who is the better one after these first few warm-up games.
Well, I bet those players are going to be really important on which team wins or loses. But, I'm going to give you a fill in the blank here. These teams win if. Go ahead, first with Fairfield.
I'm going to say Fairfield will win if they can limit penalties and get a big lead early. Shortly, Fairfield doesn't have a very good chance to win this one. Just putting it out there plainly, Syracuse is a really good team. Fairfield coming off a tough loss, but if they do want to have a chance to win, they need to limit those penalties because where Syracuse excels, the APCs, the penalty corners, you're giving Bo Von Kempen easy shots at goal. That cannot happen. You want to get an early lead because Syracuse is going to stick with you the whole entire game. For Syracuse, the key to the game, it's pretty simple. I'm going to say you get at least 2 penalty corners, the Orange are going to win because they're just so dominant on that end. The Orange are the better team on paper. They're the better team in the record books. The Orange just need to play their game. I say get at least 2, and the Orange will win.
Fairfield only gave up 2 penalty corners in its last game, so if they can do that again and have really good just composure, not allow that, the ball to hit your feet or anything like that, then I think that's definitely one of the things. It's about Fairfield just not being too aggressive and not forcing those penalties. And
on the offensive side, you have to get something going because the defense was so solid for Syracuse on Friday. Sure, they want to replicate that performance. 15-0 is going to be hard to do.
It will be, but hey, who knows? You know that Bo Von Kempen's going to be going for a record once again. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in to the Cuse.com pregame show. We're just about ready to get going between number 11 Syracuse and Fairfield. It's been all orange so far. Number 11 Syracuse leads Fairfield 4-0 at the half. And welcome into our ACC Network halftime report. I'm Adam Gotkin alongside Riley Underwood. Once again, Syracuse dominates the first 30 minutes of play. Not as much as they did last time against Lock Haven, but if you're Lynn Farquhar, Riley, still got to be pretty happy with what you've seen.
I think you're happy, but you still want to pile it on a little bit more. Because this Fairfield defense, I know they've allowed 4 goals, but it honestly doesn't really feel that lopsided. The defense has been playing not too bad. Peyton Ron's been putting a little bit of pain at the goalkeeper position, but still Syracuse, a commanding lead right now, and I said it in the pregame, they have more than 2 penalty corners, so it's looking like Syracuse might have it so far.
Well, let's take a look at those first half highlights, see how the Orange went up 4-0. And just like the last game, it was a very early offensive chance for Syracuse. This time, Hattie Madden getting a lot of the early work done. She's been excellent so far for the Orange. Here, you see her get the assist on a nice little flick pass, and it's Liz Stronga who gets the goal. That's her first, and Syracuse up 1-0. And then a chance on the penalty corner. Bo Von Kempen gets her first of the day, already her 7th of the season.
Just nothing going offensively for Fairfield. Syracuse, again, capitalizing on those penalty corners. This one was blocked. Ultimately, they scored a couple on those deflections, but the deflections were something that Lock Haven was not getting in the season opener against Syracuse.
And so into the second quarter, a 2-0 lead for the Orange, and Lika Lehongers adds on. Not a great job there by the Fairfield keeper. Just tapped it, couldn't get a full stick on it to stop it. Now the Stags actually had some offense going, the first save of the season, and then Bo Von Kempen gets it back and slots it home. She scores her 2nd of the game, already her 8th of the season. My goodness,
I know,
can't even believe what I'm saying. 8 goals in 2 games, 8 goals in 3 halves for Bo Von Kempen, and Syracuse leads Fairfield 4-0 after 30 minutes in this game. And really all Orange once again, they lead the shots category 11-1, and those 5 corners really the big difference so far.
They have been the big difference. Syracuse would like to capitalize on some of those corners a little bit more. Really remarkable is this is the first shot on goal that Syracuse has had to face all season through 3 halves of play so far. No goals, still allowed, still shutout, 3 straight.
Yeah, but Peyton Ron for Fairfield has been good to keep this where it is. 4 saves for her already.
Yeah, she's been impressive. I mean, I know the numbers don't really look impressive, but she's been faced with a lot of pressure, and the whole defense has really been pushed back to that side because those attackers are not getting anything on the offensive end. It's been pretty much dominated in the possession category by Syracuse.
And especially on the penalty quarters, Ron has been really good so far. We talked about it before, but that was going to be really the decider in this game. Syracuse had a bunch in the first half. They have more penalty corners than they do goals, which is pretty surprising.
Yeah, I mean, the penalty corners, not all of them have been going in. Bo Von Kempen, a couple have fallen. She has 2 goals total, and that's where she succeeds the most. That one, just the defense, putting in the work, trying to stop those easy goals that Bo Von Kempen's so used to getting.
And so, really good job in that first half by Fairfield to keep it at a 4-goal game, to even have a chance in this one. And again, you have to give all the credit into the world to their keeper, Peyton Ron, for keeping her team in this game. And then on the other side of things, the Syracuse goalies actually had something to do for the first time after not facing any shots in the opener.
Well, a little bit. I don't know if they had that much to do. Only 1 shot faced. That was by Tani King. She came in the second quarter. Syracuse kind of alternating their goalkeepers quarter by quarter. Iceland started the game. King came in the second quarter. We can expect Iceland to come in for the third quarter and then King to finish it off if it's kind of a replica of last Friday's game. Peyton Ron getting a lot more action on her side of the field. I'm sure she'd like to see King and Iceland get a little more of what she's getting, but right now, Syracuse dominating that possession.
It's been a busy day so far for Peyton Ron. She had 7 saves as the most of her year last year. She's already got 4 so far in this one. But we'll be back in a moment for the rest of halftime. Syracuse leads Fairfield 4-0. It's halftime at J.S. Coyne Stadium, and number 11 Syracuse leads the reigning NEC champs Fairfield 4-0. Hey there, everyone, and welcome back into the ACC Network Halftime Report. I'm Adam Gockin alongside Riley Underwood. And Riley, this is not the only game going on right now in ACC field hockey. It is a very busy opening weekend around the country. The ACC Big Ten Challenge, really the big thing today. And how about the Big Ten? Coming back, Michigan beats Wake Forest in that game out in Iowa City.
And Wake Forest was up 1-0. Michigan with the comeback effort. That's a big in that Big Ten ACC rivalry. Another game to watch out for. Number 2 North Carolina going on the road to play the Hawkeyes. That'll be a fun one to watch.
That game gets underway in just a moment. North Carolina, of course, trying to get back to its winning ways and win yet another national championship this year. But back to this game, Riley. It's going to be a bit difficult, I think, to pick a star of the half because Syracuse played really well. But if you have to pick one, who's been your best player so far?
I mean, that's hard, Adam. That's hard. I think you could easily go with Bo Von Kempen. I mean, she leads the team with 2 goals. But I'm going with maybe a more underdog approach. I'm going with Hattie Madden because she's really been the one that's been spreading the ball around with the passes. And she's also been getting the most shots on goal. Those opportunities are so huge because sometimes they're going to fall in. Here's the little alley-oop pass that landed in the arms of Liz Stronga, who finished off the goal. But Hattie Madden, she's a big-time player. She had a hat trick on Friday against Lock Haven. I could see her heating up a little bit more in the second half.
And the Madden twins have been so key to Syracuse over the past few years, but Hattie now as an upperclassman is going to need to be a little bit better, and she's showing that so far in this game.
And the key to this game, especially when Peyton Ron on the Fairfield goal defense has been facing so many shots, the key is really just to put more shots up because they're going to fall eventually. Volume, 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 and that's what Hattie Madden's been doing so far.
So before we get to the second half, anything that you have for Fairfield to try and do to maybe get that first goal of the season?
You just got to push the pace, push the tempo. You can't let Peyton Ron do all the work because she's letting goals in, point period blank. You got to do something offensively. They just haven't been able to do it. Get some shots on goal, get to the other side of the field.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. Syracuse leads 4-0. We'll go back to Coyne. Arnav Pokrell and Bryn Underwood take it away. Welcome into the Cuse.com postgame show. Number 11 Syracuse moves to 2-0 on the season with a 5-2 win over Fairfield. I'm Adam Gockin alongside Riley Underwood, and we're so happy to be joined by the player of the game today, Syracuse's defender, Bo Von Kempen, who had yet another excellent day. I can't believe I'm saying this, but 9 goals through 2 games. Bo, I know you led Syracuse in goals last year, but how much of an emphasis was there for you this past offseason to just try and get better on those APCs to add to your goal tally?
I think this offseason it was more focused on getting back from my injury, and I didn't really have time to focus much on the APCs, but since I'm back, I've been working really hard to get back to the level I was last year, and I feel like it's going pretty good so far.
Bo, I don't know if you know this, but you're the first ever Syracuse player to have back-to-back games with hat tricks, so congratulations to you on that. But the road gets a little tougher after this. 4 out of your next 5 opponents are ranked teams. Are you guys going to try to keep the same strategy going forward, or maybe change it up a little when you go on the road to these other opponents?
I think we have to analyze them first. We have obviously always a video meetings before our next games. I think we just need to be confident in our own game plan and just move on that, maybe like change the little things based off the opponent we play. But I think if we keep sticking to our game plan, it's going to be fine.
Well, Bo, thank you so much. Congratulations on another great game, and congratulations on another team win.
Thank you.
All right, so we might as well take a look at how Bo van Kempen got there and a look at some of her goals in this game. I can tell you this, they came from the APCs. That's where Bo van Kempen always gets her job done. And, well, today she was unstoppable once again, Riley.
Yeah, I mean, a little more stoppable than she was on Friday, but pretty unstoppable nonetheless. When you get in those one-on-one situations where she's just about 10 feet out, I mean, it's really hard to get anything, any momentum at all, because that thing's firing at you.
It is, and you have to also give a lot of credit to the inserters for making it easy on van Kempen, but 3 goals, 6 shots on net. Not as efficient this time around, but you also have to give credit to Fairfield defensively and their goalie for making things harder on van Kempen.
And I can't believe we're saying that. We're saying, oh, this isn't very efficient. This isn't a very good game. She had 3 goals. I mean, back-to-back, first time ever in Syracuse history. This was a good game. Do not get it twisted for Bo van Kempen.
So Bo van Kempen, our player of the game, with another hat trick. Back-to-back games with hat tricks for the SU Star. Well, we'll break down the rest of the game when we come back on the Cuse.com postgame show. It was a perfect day at JS Coyne Stadium as Syracuse remained perfect on the season with a 5-2 win over Fairfield. Hey there, everyone, and welcome back into the Cuse.com postgame show. Adam Gotkin alongside Riley Underwood. And when we last talked to you guys at halftime, it was 4-0 Syracuse, so Fairfield actually won that second half, Riley.
Yeah, they sure did. They kind of slowed down a little, took their foot off the gas. Syracuse, they started off really strong, 4-0. Looked like they could have gotten another shutout, but Fairfield played a better second half than their first.
They definitely did, and we'll show you how that game went down, both the first and second half highlights. And it started off with Syracuse really dominating possession early on in the game. They didn't touch it first, but once they did, they really just did not give the ball up. And a lot of credit goes to Hattie Madden. You see her here with a heck of an assist, a bit of an alley-oop to Liz Shangda. Gets her first goal of the season to put the Cuse up by 1. And then, of course, it's Bo van Kempen to make it 2-0.
Liz Shangda, a great pass to set it up. Patty Strunk as well gets credit for the assist. That made it 2-0. And then Like Longhangers, her first goal of the year as well. That makes it 3-0.
The Syracuse offense just kept pushing early on in the game. As you see there, Lagonger scores her first goal of the season, but Fairfield started to get things going on offense as the game went on. Alex Senior gets the first shot off. And finally, you start to see the Stags going on offense, but then, hey, Bo van Kempen says, wait a second, I'm going to add on another. So she gets her second goal of the game. Cuse lead 4-0 at the half. Then into the second, here come the Stags. First goal of the season for Fairfield. It comes from Kaylin Fogelson. That's also the first goal that Syracuse has given up all year.
Yeah, that got them hyped. The crowd from Connecticut breathed a little bit of life into it, but then Bo van Kempen says, I'll give it right back to you. That's her third goal of the game.
Now Pilar Magnotti with the shot off the APC, her second of the day. And finally, Fairfield really got things going on offense in that second half, but Syracuse just continued to control the pace of the game. They ended up winning it 5-2. And you can see there, just all the stats, shots on goals, corners, it was all orange in this one.
Yeah, it was. Fairfield, they only had 1 shot the whole first half, had a couple more, and really the goalkeeper play, which we'll touch on a little later, seemed to be lacking for Syracuse. The defenders, not at all. They didn't allow really anything, but once it got to that getting shots on goal, a lot of times they were going in, it seemed like.
And that's going to be one of the big things to follow throughout this season, the goalies, and we'll talk more about that in a moment, but I want to go back to something you said pregame. Your key was if Syracuse gets more than 2 APCs, they'll win this game. Today they got 12, but still only 5 goals. Not the efficiency that we're used to with this Q squad.
No, not at all. I guess it should have been if 2 go in, and which 2 did go in. They were 2 for 12. That sticks out to me as something is just not working right, because you have Bo Von Kempen. I'm thinking maybe it's the inserter that's kind of been the struggle, because last time it was Patty Strunk every single time. Today, Lika Lehongers took some. A couple different players had some opportunities. I don't know why you would mix that up a little bit, but maybe something we're not seeing in practice.
It is also, of course, early in the season, so still some things to get used to. But Peyton Ron was great in goal, stopping a lot of those. And you also, of course, have to think that Fairfield got a little bit of a scout on what Syracuse likes to do on those penalty corners after seeing the Orange dominate Lock Haven in the opener. But now to those goalies. It was a very good day today for Peyton Ron. Not really a surprise considering she's been an NEC goalie of the year before, but she really stood up today, and because of her, it was only a 3-goal game.
Peyton Ron, she did her job as well as she possibly could have, especially when you're going up against players like Bo Von Kempen on those APCs. She held up for the most part, allowed 5 goals. On the other side, though, for Syracuse, it's a bit concerning. I mean, Jessie Iceland allows 2 goals, and she only played 2 quarters, didn't really face hardly any either. Tawny King didn't really get any chances to show what she could do because the defense was playing so good. That's one thing where you kind of say, you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. You have 2 goalies, maybe you have no goalies. But still early in the season, like we mentioned in that interview, 4 out of the next 5 matchups are ranked opponents. They'll need to figure that out as time goes on.
They definitely will, because, you know, Syracuse has very high expectations for this program. 10 years ago, they won a national championship. They want to get back there this year. You just have to see a little bit more consistency from these goalies.
No saves for either the Syracuse goalies. Jessie Iceland faced 2 shots. Both of them went in. That's a red flag.
Yeah, it definitely is. Not the start to the season that the Cuse goalies were hoping for. Peyton Ron kept her team in this game. Overall, a fun one today as Syracuse beat Fairfield 5-2. But don't worry, we're not done yet on the Cuse.com postgame show. When we return, we'll go to the women's building to talk Syracuse volleyball. It was a perfect day at JS Coyne Stadium as Syracuse remained perfect on the season with a 5-2 win over Fairfield. Hey there, everyone, and welcome back into the Cuse.com postgame show. Adam Gotkin alongside Riley Underwood. And when we last talked to you guys at halftime, it was 4-0 Syracuse, so Fairfield actually won that second half, Riley.
Yeah, they sure did. They kind of slowed down a little, took their foot off the gas. Syracuse, they started off really strong, 4-0. Looked like they could have gotten another shutout, but Fairfield played a better second half than their first.
They definitely did, and we'll show you how that game went down, both the first and second half highlights. And it started off with Syracuse really dominating possession early on in the game. They didn't touch it first, but once they did, they really just did not give the ball up. And a lot of credit goes to Hattie Madden. You see her here with a heck of an assist, a bit of an alley-oop to Liz Shangda. Gets her first goal of the season to put the Cuse up by 1. And then, of course, it's Bo Von Kempen to make it 2-0.
Liz Shangda, a great pass to set it up. Patty Strunk as well gets credit for the assist. That made it 2-0. And then Like Longhangers, her first goal of the year as well. That makes it 3-0.
The Syracuse offense just kept pushing early on in the game. As you see there, Lagonger scores her first goal of the season, but Fairfield started to get things going on offense as the game went on. Alex Senior gets the first shot off. And finally, you start to see the Stags going on offense, but then, hey, Bo Von Kempen says, wait a second, I'm going to add on another. So she gets her second goal of the game. Cuse lead 4-0 at the half. Then into the second, here come the Stags. First goal of the season for Fairfield. It comes from Kaylin Fogelson. That's also the first goal that Syracuse has given up all year.
Yeah, that got them hyped. The crowd from Connecticut breathed a little bit of life into it, but then Bo Von Kempen says, I'll give it right back to you. That's her third goal of the game.
Now Pilar Magnotti with the shot off the APC, her second of the day. And finally, Fairfield really got things going on offense in that second half, but Syracuse just continued to control the pace of the game. They ended up winning it 5-2. And you can see there, just all the stats, shots on goals, corners, it was all orange in this one.
Yeah, it was. Fairfield, They only had one shot the whole first half, had a couple more, and really the goalkeeper play, which we'll touch on a little later, seemed to be lacking for Syracuse. The defenders, not at all. They didn't allow really anything, but once it got to that getting shots on goal, a lot of times they were going in, it seemed like.
And that's going to be one of the big things to follow throughout this season, the goalies, and we'll talk more about that in a moment, but I want to go back to something you said pregame. Your key was if Syracuse gets more than 2 APCs, they'll win this game. Today they got 12, but still only 5 goals. Not the efficiency that we're used to with this Q squad.
No, not at all. I guess it should have been if 2 go in, and which 2 did go in. They were 2 for 12. That sticks out to me as something is just not working right because you have Bo Von Kempen. I'm thinking maybe it's the inserter that's kind of been the struggle because last time it was Patty Strunk every single time. Today, Lika Lehongers took some. A couple different players had some opportunities. I don't know why you would mix that up a little bit, but maybe something we're not seeing in practice.
It is also, of course, early in the season, so still some things to get used to. But Peyton Ron was great in goal, stopping a lot of those. And you also, of course, have to think that Fairfield got a little bit of a scout on what Syracuse likes to do on those penalty corners after seeing the Orange dominate Lock Haven in the opener. But now to those goalies. It was a very good day today for Peyton Ron. Not really a surprise considering she's been an NEC goalie of the year before, but she really stood up today, and because of her, it was only a 3-goal game.
Peyton Ron, she did her job as well as she possibly could have, especially when you're going up against players like Bo Von Kempen on those APCs. She held up for the most part, allowed 5 goals. On the other side, though, for Syracuse, it's a bit concerning. I mean, Jessie Iceland allows 2 goals, and she only played 2 quarters, didn't really face hardly any either. Tawny King didn't really get any chances to show what she could do because the defense was playing so good. That's one thing where you kind of say you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. You have 2 goalies, maybe you have no goalies. But still early in the season, like we mentioned in that interview, 4 out of the next 5 matchups are ranked opponents. They'll need to figure that out as time goes on.
They definitely will because, you know, Syracuse has very high expectations for this program. 10 years ago, they won a national championship. They want to get back there this year. You just have to see a little bit more consistency from these goalies.
No saves for either of the Syracuse goalies. Jessie Iceland faced 2 shots. Both of them went in. That's a red flag.
Yeah, it definitely is. Not the start to the season that the Cuse goalies were hoping for. Peyton Ron kept her team in this game. Overall, a fun one today as Syracuse beat Fairfield 5-2. But don't worry, we're not done yet on the Cuse.com postgame show. When we return, we'll go to the women's building to talk Syracuse volleyball. Syracuse moves to 2-0 on the season. The 11th ranked squad in the country beats Fairfield 5-2. And welcome back into the Cuse.com postgame show. Adam Gotkin alongside Riley Underwood. And we've spent a lot of time talking field hockey today, but this is not the only action around the hill. There's a bunch of other Syracuse teams playing today. And earlier, the Syracuse women's soccer team took on Princeton down in New Jersey, a 0-0 draw, and a huge shout out to Shea Vanderbosch for passing the 300 career saves mark. The Orange got outshot 31-9, but Vanderbosch and net kept the Cuse in the game.
That's just hard to win with and hard to tie with as well. She's been nails her entire career at Syracuse, and of course, that Tennessee-Syracuse football game we saw yesterday down in Atlanta just didn't go the Orange's way in Steve Angeli's debut.
It's a not the look to rebound against UConn next Saturday. Syracuse men's soccer back in action on September 1st against Yale. That's tomorrow night on the road. But Syracuse volleyball is actually in action right now. We've got a Syracuse on Syracuse battle with Lemoyne in town, and we'll send things over to the women's building where our good friend Nicholas Whaley is.
Well, thank you, Adam. Absolutely right. These two schools separated by no more than 2 miles. But on the court at the moment, Lemoyne are behind the Orange 2-0, and the Orange have looked excellent in the first 3 games of the season so far. This, the final game of the Salt City Classic. But that's all well and good. Non-conference has been very good for Syracuse volleyball over the past few seasons. it's conference play in the ACC where they have struggled. So to rectify that, Syracuse have brought in a couple of transfers, and the one for me that could be very important is Gabriella McLaughlin, the transfer from Nevada. She has been excellent for the Orange in the first 2 games of the season, led the team in kills and digs yesterday against Ryder, and also leads the team in kills today against Lemoyne. Also has an ace to her name in the game as well, shows what she can do from any position on the court. She is listed as an outside hitter, but she does a lot more than that. She's also one of the captains for the team this season, so she is one certainly to look out for when we get to ACC play, which is only a month away. The first ACC game for Syracuse volleyball on the road against Notre Dame on the 26th of September. It doesn't get easier after that. It is number 4 Louisville right after for the Orange. So won't be easy, but you know, the Syracuse volleyball team has been growing over the past few seasons, so I'm certainly optimistic. So guys, back to you.
So much, Nick. Syracuse looking to stay unbeaten on the day as an athletic program. Of course, the field hockey team picked up a 5-2 win today over Fairfield, but things get a whole lot tougher for Link Farquhar's squad moving forward. Up next, the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and that starts a schedule of 4 out of the next 5 teams that the Orange play being ranked in the top 20.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough stretch. The first 2 games of Lock Haven and Fairfield is not going to be the same type of teams that they're going to be playing going forward. It's only going to get tougher from here. This is one of the toughest schedules in the ACC, and the non-conference slate is only going to get tougher. And I just want to say, how good was Nicholas Whaley looking in that women's building? My goodness, that suit was sharp.
It was, and just by the way, both those Rutgers and Ohio State games are in Columbus, so Syracuse field hockey does not return home for another 20 days, but that doesn't mean that we won't see you here in our Newhouse studios, because on Thursday, the Syracuse women's soccer team is in action against Binghamton. We'll have the halftime coverage on ACC Network Extra and our post-game show right here on Cuse TV. All right, so ready to wrap things up here after Syracuse beats Fairfield 5-2. And Riley, a very good first half for Syracuse in this one. Still some things to work on, though, after the second.
And like Bo Von Kempen said in the interview, they're going to watch the film and figure out what went wrong in that second half. Not that everything went wrong. It wasn't terrible. Syracuse won the ball game, but it was a great first half. Fairfield found a way to make some adjustments and put some shots on goal in the second half. That's something they'll be looking at going forward.
Well, definitely a positive today for the Orange to get into the win column and move to 2-0 on the season. But again, things get a whole lot tougher moving forward. Well, we thank you all so much for tuning in to this Cuse.com postgame show. For our analyst, Riley Underwood, I'm Adam Gotkin saying so long and have a great rest of your day.